Good morning. Today let's talk about the Canadian Investor Immigrant Program. This program in fact is one of the most popular programs among high net worth individuals who wish to settle down in Canada and make Canada their permanent base by taking the permanent residence visa to Canada. Well, there are two programs within the investor program to Canada under which you can make an application. One program is Federal Investor Program and the other program is Quebec Investor Program. Under the Federal Investor Program, unfortunately, while I'll go on and explain about the program, the number of visas that are available, the quota is extremely limited. The number of applications pending, especially in popular immigration posts like China and India, it's huge. The inventory of pending application is huge in this category with a quota of hardly around 700 visas in a year. This is resulting in a huge backlog as well as federal immigrant investor program applications are concerned. Whether whether it's a federal investor program or it's a Quebec investor program, qualifying requirements are almost the same. You need to have a net worth individually or along with a spouse of at least 1.6 Canadian dollars. Number two, and more importantly, you should be mostly be having during last 5 years at least 2 years of business or management experience or executive experience, or you should have employed a certain minimum number of employees in their business, or you should have managed a certain minimum number of employees in corporations that you could have been managing, or a combination of net worth and the minimum business and management experience. So it all combined together can get you qualified under the investor program. Now, having qualified, the other key requirement is that you should be willing to make an investment that's a refundable investment under the program of at least 800,000 Canadian dollars, and that's over a 5-year period. You make that investment with the Canadian government. That's interest free. So the interest that you lose over the 5-year period that you give the investment of around 800,000 to the Canadian government becomes the cost of acquiring this particular visa. The other alternate is you could take services of a financial intermediary that is authorized by the Canadian government, and that authorized financial intermediary could typically finance this investment for you. So what the intermediary does is that you give an amount, and that amount can range anywhere between $180,000 to $200,000 because it differs on the interest rate applicable on the day. You give $180,000 to $200,000, and the balance $600,000 to $620,000 is financed by the bank, and the Canadian government gets the $800,000 Canadian dollars that is mandated as the requirement under the Federal Immigrant Investor Program. And this particular amount then is, when it matures, then it goes back to the financer and not to you. So typically that $180,000 to $200,000 becomes one-time cost of acquiring this visa for you, and it's typically interest that's paid in advance by you to the intermediary for the funds that's advanced by the intermediary on your behalf and for making the total investment to the government. The good thing when you make use of services of a financial intermediary is that on day one itself you know what your cost of acquiring the visa is, and hence you can plan your finances and investments and your future in Canada accordingly. Well, that's like I said, the qualifying requirements more or less are same, and the procedures followed under the federal as well as the Quebec investor program are same. Sometime back I informed you that filing under a federal program of late has become a challenging matter because there's limited quota, and that quota gets finished very quickly, and at the least one foresees, of course it depends on visa post where you make an application, But at the least, normally, in popular visa posts like Hong Kong, China, and India, this delay could be as long as 3 to 4 years at the least, as per current indication. So when one is making such a huge investment, it's for that person to decide whether he wants to wait for such a long time or not. But still, people do make an application under the program, under federal program, simply for the reason it does not have any restrictions of education, age, or language. So those, for instance, typically a person who may be 60 plus and wants to make a passive investment, who cannot talk in English, and whose educational qualifications are also pretty low or almost nil, then he's not qualifying under any category, but still he wants to migrate for a better quality of life in late years of his life. So irrespective, he will go for this program irrespective of the fact that it takes 3 to 4 years. Even those young, so long as they're meeting the qualifying requirement, can make an application under this particular program. The more popular program, however, is for the investors to Canada is Quebec Immigrant Investor Program. The reason is, while qualifying requirements are same, the reason is that the application processing times are much faster, and in fact for the applications that are filed after 1st of December 2010, the application processing time is as less as 12 to 18 months. So typically, if you are filing an application after 1st of December 2010, then you're getting interviewed within 6 to 9 months time, and rest of the process gets over in another 6 months time. So typically you get visa stamped under Quebec Immigrant Investor Program within 12 to 18 months time. So this in fact makes the program much more popular than the Federal Immigrant Investor Program. And also, the quota, because the quota under the investor program for Quebec is defined and determined by the Quebec government, and that the numbers run into thousands and not few hundreds. So the chances of your application being accepted are much better if you file under federal, because the quota is higher. So the chances of faster and immediate processing application is there. Those who applied prior to 1st of December 2010 unfortunately got stuck in the older application processing system, older selection criteria. One could qualify with a lower net worth requirement and low investment requirement, where the queue is much longer, and the application processing time for applications filed prior to 1st of December 2010, even in case of Quebec Investor Program, can be as much as close to 3 years. So the exception under the Quebec Investor Program is for the new applicants who can be processed within 12 to 18 months time. For applications prior to 1st of December 2010, delay again is around 3 years under the Quebec Investor Program also. In case of federal, that particular delay can go beyond 6 to 7 years also, because like I said, the quota is limited. This investor program to Canada is an excellent choice for those who have age restrictions, those who have language restrictions, those who have educational restrictions, those who want to make passive investment, those who wants to have unconditional permanent resident visa to Canada from day one, and those who overall are looking for a good quality of life, and frankly those who are high net worth individuals. So this is a good program. This is one of the oldest passive investment immigration programs across the world, which has been hugely and very successful, and for sure it's one definite way of permanent resident of Canada, Canada being the country that offers among the best quality of life in the world. You can always write to me at my email ID Ajay, that is AJAY @Abhinav, that is ABHINAV.com, and I'll immediately ensure that all your queries on the Immigrant Investor Program to Canada are responded. Abhinav has been, as a company, been dealing with Immigrant Investor Program for years now, and we have a huge successful list of clients who have made it to Canada under the Immigrant Investor Program through services of Abhinav Outsourcings Private Limited. Thank you. Have a nice day.